consider this rather scratched.
Okay. So we can start by preparing the airplane for power up. In order for you guys to be able to follow, I will share the checklist for that I'm going to follow. You can find it on the chat. And so we start with start checking the current situation of the plane. I'm going to do the pre-check and the power up, and we're going to stop there. So engine master, both 1 and 2 off, engine mode normal, landing gear down, battery 1 and 2 switch to auto, external power if available on. We check that the voltage is above 25.5 volts, and we check it's about time to start the APU. At this point, I should have said that the APU, in some cases the APU start is very much delayed. There is no point of starting the APU to provide bleeding air to the aircraft unless you want to ensure air conditioning or pressurization into the cabin. On the other hand, because any aircraft in order to start you need some external power, that's why when the airport doesn't have enough starting ground power units and they just need to give you some power to start your APU, that's another reason for starting the APU early. So we go, APU fire is guarded, you can see that here, and agent lights, this one is off, and APU fire test works, and then we go APU master switch on, we count 1, 2, 3, APU start, and now we drop down and we monitor the APU start. See the message flap open. This is a flap underneath. This one is a flap for the APU.
Spiros, which simulator are you using?
Flight Simulator 2020, and this is the Phoenix Alpha 320. default, or we can force it to be on, but that situation means that it is on auto. And then we go APU bleeding on, and now our APU also provides air conditioning and bleeding air to the aircraft, and we can get rid of the external power. It's not necessary, I'm just doing it. And finally we go around the whole overhead and we make sure that all the white lights are switched on, off. That is the logic in Airbuses, that the normal situation is the lights should be off, and if it's on, it will be either green or blue. White or red means fault. So this is the crew supply. Switch it to on, and the fuel pumps. 2 fuel pumps for each tank. We have 5 tanks in total. 1 central, 2 big ones in the wings, and 2 auxiliary in the wings. The 2 auxiliary in the wings, they don't have pumps. They are used just for refilling and balancing. I don't know if you would like to spend some time on general familiarization with the aircraft.
Not on my account.
Nor mine. I went through a partial checklist before joining.
Okay, all right. It's more about so that when I understand what we're talking about. So as I talked about the tanks, maybe we should just go into a quick round. So I'm going to use the overhead for this. So attached to the 2 engines we have 2 electrical generators. As any generator provides AC voltage, and there is a transformer that translates that into DC in order to charge our batteries, or to provide whenever we in all the electronics that require DC voltage. In this particular situation that we are now, the APU is providing electricity, and it's not illuminated, hence it's working. And we can check that by going to the cam, and we can switch to electricity, and we can see the diagram, what is live and what is off. So right now the APU generator provides AC voltage that goes to the 2 transformers into DC, and effectively the plane has 2 buses. One is AC power, and the other is DC power. Some systems are on AC, and some systems are on DC. Electronics, for example, are on DC. Any accumulator or electronic motor works with AC. Now, the 2 engines also provide, apart from electrical power, they provide bleeding air. The bleeding air effectively is compressed air. As compressed air, it's just that air that is under pressure. We see that this is the bleeding generator, that is effectively turbines, and how it is connected to the rest of the systems. APU bleeding now is providing enough pressure for the circuit. There are four post providers, the two bleeding in the two engines, one from the APU and one from the ram air. Ram air turbine, or RAT, is effectively a big fan that is extended underneath the plane in emergency situations when there is no other source of power. By turning with the speed of air, the external speed of air, by turning this fan, some low power is produced and also some bleeding, enough to give vitals to the aircraft system so that we can safely land it. The third thing that is important to any airliner is the hydraulics. The hydraulics, it's much better to look them at the diagram in the ECAM, is effectively for redundancy reasons we have three separate hydraulic circuits, and they provide the hydraulic power, so they are charged by the engines, the green one from the left engine, the yellow one from the right engine, and the blue one for an electric motor, so this is independent of the engine. All the three hydraulic circuits go to the primary controls, so anything that has to do with flight, but some of them go to some of the secondary controls, like for example air brakes. So if you lose one circuit, you might lose some of your air brakes, or you might have partially control of some actuator, and the yellow is responsible for the other half. Together they work, they supplement each other, but you never lose primary control. If we want to go back to the overhead, we see that there is a special thing here called PDU. All these three circuits are connected between them with a device that's called power transfer unit. That is effectively transferring pressure from one side to the other side, and if you have enough pressure on the, let's say, green circuit, it can give power to the yellow circuit, even though if you don't have a supplier like the engine. And that is how, even with three systems, even if we lose one of the circuit, still we have control of all the surfaces. So let's move on with the rest of our checklist. Any question you might have so far?
The only question that I have is that I'm trying to follow along in my own simulator, and I am using the A320 Neo that's available in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, and some of the controls that you are pointing out are inoperative in mine.
Yes. The default Airbus 320, the stock from Microsoft, is not realistic in simulating all the systems. I would say it's 30%. It's just enough for you to fly. If you want to follow, I would suggest that you download the fly-by-wire A320, which it's free. It's much more sophisticated than the default. Of course, it's not at the 100% like the Phoenix. I wouldn't even say that the Phoenix is 100%. The Phoenix is around 92-93% of simulation. The fly-by-wire A320 is at 75%, covering all the systems. So that is your two best choices to follow.
Great, thank you.
So we have just turned off the bleed, all the whites off, and we check that our cross bleeding is on auto. So we go back to overhead, and this is the cross bleeding. Hydraulics were fine, and X bleeding on fuel is on auto, and cabin temperature as required. Here is the cabin temperature. Let's say that we put it to here, and we continue. Sorry, this is the cargo. This is the cabin temperature, and at the center position is around 22 degrees Celsius. If we want to monitor our the cabin temperature, we go to condition and we see what is the current temperature, 24 degrees, and what is the intended temperature. Right now, because we only have bleeding air from the APU, is not enough to work in its way to manipulate the temperature. When we turn the engines on, there's going to be enough power for that. And then we have the electrical check, overhead and ECAM. So we go to electric, and we see everything here is green apart from the two generators, which is fine because we haven't started the engines. We go to the overhead, and we see electrically we are all, nothing is sliding apart from the availability of external power and the two generators that are not working yet. Ventilation lights off. Here at the overhead again, and we have these are the ventilation lights. These light up when we have an overheating on some critical parts of the plane around our cockpit. The most important thing is when we have overheat of our instruments and controls, and that's where we need the ventilation. Under the pedestal and behind the central dashboard is everything that has to do with electronics, and these things heat up a lot. So there are fans like a computer that has fans, and they ventilate the heat out of it. So when we say ventilation, this is what we're talking about. ECAM recall, press for 3 seconds. So we go to our ECAM and we click effectively the recall and we keep it for 3 seconds. That means that you see here there are some warnings. Alright, if I press clear, I get rid of them, and now I have no warnings. With the recall, we make sure that everything is there, and we need to monitor these warnings because as we power up the aircraft, these are going to go away. ECAM door, and we go to this page and we check first that we have enough pressure on the oxygen tanks. This is about providing oxygen to the emergency supply instead in case we have depressurization, and also the state of all the doors and even for passengers or cargo around the plane. ECAM hydraulic. So here we check that although we don't have any pressurized hydraulics right now, but here it indicates what is the level of the fluid we have on the reservoir of each circuit, and it needs to be between the green. So green is ideal. If it drops, it's not ideal. On the red, you don't fly because you don't have enough fluid to pressurize. And finally, we go to engines, and we see that the quantity of oil right now I have 21.9 and 20.2 on oil level at the engines. Final of the check, rain repellent check. Rain repellent is a special fluid that when we have heavy or medium severity rain, it is spread into the windshield so that the rain slides easily and don't get stuck. That is very useful, especially on your approach. This thing is controlled by this button. The moment we press it, the fluid goes off, where we can see that this repellent, the indication is right here. So if we zoom, we see that we are on just about above the green, so we have enough rain repellent. And that is the first part of the preparation of the cockpit. Any wondering question? Overhead all white lights off, recorder control, ground control on. So this is the voice recorder, and this is effectively what controls what we hear on the accidents, the black box. Effectively it's two recorders. One is that is recording all the data from the computers, inputs, outputs, etc., and the voice recorder from the cockpit. In Airbus, automatically the voice recorder is activated when you turn on the engines, and automatically is deactivated when you shut off the engines. In order for us to check that it works, we need to turn it on manually, and then here it says loudspeaker off. This is the first step of a test that we need to do in order to make sure that the voice recorder works. So we turn off the loudspeaker, and then we go into our radios and we say that my microphone should send the voice to the internal circuit, and then I go back to the overhead panel and I press test, and while I press test I talk to the microphone, and I need to hear the voice being recorded, and that's why we switch it on. Then we go again to our radios. We have done the test and we switch it back to auto, and finally we can say CVR erase, and it's just erased, and we start fresh. Now as almost every airliner, So with the A320, the main device that navigates plane is IRS, inertia system. In Airbus, they call it ADIRS because it's not just the spinners. It is a full device with a lot of electronics around it, and there are three INSs or ADIRS in Airbus. ADIRS 1 is connected to the input on the captain side. ADIRS 2 is connected to the input on the first officer side, and ADIRS 3 is the backup. Now, ADIRS, all the INS systems, they first need to align, and the primary input for that is the GPS unit that exists in A320, which then is confirmed with connecting to known VOR stations and triangulate the two radials that the ADIRS tune to, so they confirm that this is actually a bad position in 3 dimensions, and also they are free to follow they have 6 levels of freedom in movement monitor. Now we start with ADIRS 1, and we monitor that the on battery turns on and then off. That is a test that even if we lose power, we are not going to lose our ADIRS. If the on battery stays on, it means that we have a problem, and we shouldn't start the flight without ADIRS. That test confirmed that ADIRS 1 can work with either battery or generated power, so we're safe. We need to do the same on all 3, so we go ADIRS 2 on nav, wait for the on bat, wait to be extinguished, and ADIRS 3 on battery, wait to be extinguished. Now the alignment process is starting. It's started. We can go to our FMCG or FMS, whatever you want to call it, and we can go to monitor IRS, and you see that it says that I'm aligning. If we go to our initialization, IRS init, you see that the numbers are a little bit crazy and it's not there yet. If we go again to our overhead panel, we can switch here to the display to monitor how our ADIRS are behaving. So here is the selector of which ADIR do we want to monitor, 1, 2, 3 or 2. I select the 1 and I say, okay, give me your coordinates. I don't have coordinates. Give me your heading. I will give the heading in 6 minutes. So while we are waiting for the IRS to be aligned, we continue with strobe auto. So the strobe light is the light that we need to have on when we are going into high traffic areas on the ground, or when we are on the air. Even when we cross a runway, we need to have the strobe light on. Turning this to auto ensures that if we forget that, and if we have the GPS, the ADIRS live, the computer is going to sense that we're going into a high traffic area, and it will turn the strobe on automatically. We confirm that the beacon off. Other external lights are required, so let's prepare navigation lights on. I like to light up my winch light, and signs for seatbelts on or off. And emergency lights are. So that's another red that went off. Landing elevation auto. This is the knob about the landing elevation. So when we have in auto, the computer knows by what we insert them, it has enough data for all the airports in the world, and knows the elevation. If we need to land somewhere where this is unknown, we can say here, okay, my landing elevation is 2000 feet. I will return it back to auto, and now we continue to. Why this is important? Because it takes that into account in order to know the rate that is going to compress the cabin or decompress the cabin as we climb and we descend. Backflow as required. Now imagine that we have passengers in the cabin, so we need to provide the conditioning. Right now the packs are on normal. It's not they're activated, that's why we don't see here any light. If I click them, it's off. And if we don't have enough bleeding air, we can turn them off. But right now the as required is I have enough for that, I can leave them on. Engine fire check 1. Test. Works. Sorry, engine fire check in. It is in and guarded. The agent is off, and I just check the test. The same thing I do, I repeat for engine 2. The main handle is in and guarded. The agent is light off, and I do the test. It works. And we go to the upper overhead. And the audio switching is at normal. That is to address any malfunction, whether it's going to use one circuit. For redundancy, there are 2 circuits, one for the captain and one for the first officer. So this is normal. We check the ISIS. So ISIS is the backup instrument we have here. We put the pressurization we expect. So right now on Denver we have 3025, and we go to here, say 3025, and we confirm the elevation. It is what we expect from Denver. Clock is there, with the right time check, and is hit, and the nose wheel is on. We confirm that. Radios check, so our radios is on. I'm going to also switch this on in order to have the audio output from both radios into the captain's headset. Where the radar is off, this is the switch. To see better, let's go to this view. So there are 2 systems that can work independently, and this is for redundancy. Here you select either the system 1 or the system 2. In the middle, it's neither system is on. So we're fine. Windshield, predictive windshield system is off, and the gain is on auto. photo or calc, and mode as required. The most usual is map, and then switching panel, Alt 4, and this is the switching panel. This is so effectively here it says for heading data, air data, or these are the categories of electronic signals. Which of the circuits the plane should believe? At normal, it means it checks both sides and even warns if the data are different. So if I have one pitot tube blocked on the captain side and working on the first officer side and sees the difference in speed, it will raise that we have a problem with your instrumentation. In order to overcome and continue with what the pilots will confirm that it is correct, I'm going to turn this, use the first officer, and the warning goes off. I know that something happened, but at least I can continue my flight using that one pitot tube. And switching for ECAM STS check. So we go to STS here, and we check here. We check if we have any inoperative devices, modules, or subsystems in the airplane. This is normal. We don't have anything red. The only thing that is inoperative as a system is the category 2 land, and that is because our IRS has not yet been aligned. Time to check again our. So we go to data, IRS. It is on navigation mode, and go again to init, IRS init. Not yet ready yet. Let's go to our ECAM. Okay, so we are ready. ECAM pressure. We check the pressure. We have the cabin altitude 4,950, which is almost, and this high because we are on a high altitude airport. So effectively, this is the atmospheric pressure we have already, and with the open doors, the pressure has been equalized inside the cabin. An actuator light test. So it's that knob, and we have the Christmas tree. Everything lights on. This is to check if we have anything that is not lit up because the bulb has gone off. And now the test is okay, and we go back to bright. And door lock, check set. So here we lock the cockpit door, so no hijacker can get into anymore. Any questions?
Not even the captain, the first officer, stayed alone.
Well, the rules is that if one of the two wants to go, for example, to the toilet, a steward needs to come in and take the place, because you need two people inside the cockpit. So only the purser has the code to unlock the door from the outside. One goes in, one goes out, and then they exchange back seats.
That was enforced only after German wings, right?
It was enforced after the 9/11, I think. I don't know, to be honest.
Well, there was this German wings flight that the first officer intentionally crashed it into the mountain a few years back.
Yeah, correct. But I know but I don't know when this was enforced. Okay,
yeah.
so
okay.
we continue with our preparation. We confirm rest on idle, and we can also move to make sure that it's on idle. Engine master off, engine mode normal, parking brake on. We have checked that before, but you see the first set of the checklist is you do it and then you go out to the walk around, and then you go in and you start doing that. So right now we're on the second set. We have done our pre-flight walk around, and by that time somebody might have moved, because when you try to get into your seat, a lot of times you push the levers, etc, etc. So brake pressure again we check, it's there. Gravity gears it is stowed. ATC set operator, so let's put our transponder in operation. So we have it on standby and put it on auto, and I leave the default squawk code there. RPTG is on, transmitting, that means I'm also transmitting altitude and ABS. ATC system select, I select system 1, again like the radar I have two transponders for redundancy. Now on my radios, because effectively these are generic frequency tuners, we can make them tuned to VOR, we can make them tuned to anything, ADF, etc. So here it says radio nav is off, so I don't have any navigation signal there, and I don't have any RMP signal there. I only have VHF, and I tune my radios to this particular case. So airfield data update, we have effectively that is the 80s. So we've got the 80s is 4 degrees 150 from 154 knots, pressure 3025, and we have a few clouds 9,000, few clouds 14,000, and broken clouds are 20,000. So with CVFR we are already good to go. ATC clearance, we assume that we have this, that's the point where we receive the clearance. Now the init ACARS, we go to our mesh, and we go to menu, ATSU, and we need now I need my ACARS. Now in the simulator, the ACARS is effectively simulated by SimBrief. I haven't created any flight plan in SimBrief in order to program the unit manually. So I'm not pressing here, pressing any button here, and now it's time to work on our FMC. So we go to menu, FMCC, and we confirm that this is the engine that I'm loaded. I have already expired nav data. I forgot to update my nav data, and everything seems okay. We're going to data, next page, nav aids, and I'm not as required. Here I can put that, try to use as supplementary input this nav aid. I'm not going to use that. Init, and here we start programming it. First, we work in this first page, the initialization page, alpha, because there is initialization page beta. In the alpha we go anti-clockwise. So we start from 2, and so I start programming it. Denver to KDEN-KABQ, and I confirm that my IRS has been aligned. Here is if I want to start entering the winds aloft that I might have from the climb phase and the descent phase, and if you have used IRS CBRIF, you just click this and you get it from there. So I don't have any winds. Tropo level 36,000, I'm happy with that. Yes, the ground temperature is 4%. I'm going to fly at an altitude of flight level 360, so I put that here. I'm going to have a cost index, that means how economically or how fast I should go. I put a 50, which is pretty fast. And now the flight number, 1, 2, 3, and our alternate, let's say, would be Los Angeles. Now it's time to put the flight plan. So having checked the airfield data, we know that it's from 154 knots, so probably we're going to use one of the 17 runways, and that's how I'm going to program. So we go here, we go departure.
First.
Yep.
Yeah, you entered Las Vegas, not Los Angeles. I don't know what you wanted as your alternative.
Okay. Yeah, let's leave it Las Vegas. It's even better.
Okay.
Closer.
Yeah. Okay.
So departure, and I'm going to use 17 right, and my flight plan as I have prepared is Pikes 2, Alpha Lima Sierra, Juliet 13, Freehold 4. So I'm going to pick up the Pikes 2.
So you are sharing on the simulator, not what you're doing.
No, I understand.
Okay.
So ILS, and I press insert. So now I have my SID prepared, and I can confirm with the chart. You can follow that on your own screens. I'm not sharing anything. So we're going to get to leave the airport. We're going to Solar, Teher, Pinke, and Alamosa. So then Solar, Teher, Pinke, and Alpha Lima Sierra. Now we're going to enter the next waypoint. Here we have 3 options. If it is a direct, I can put the identifier directly onto the scratch pattern. So if I wanted to go to, I don't know, let's try this. So it says, okay, I have found in the database 2 points, two VORs. Which one do you want? I say this. Okay, I have put in the flight plan. Press insert to confirm, and that's how you put points and construct your flight plan. Of course, this is not what I want, so I delete it. Another way to do it, you go into the last or any point for what matter, and you put your what is your next point. Here is we put what is your next destination in case of a diversion, or use the airways. Now I'm going to use the airways, and I'm going to say 1. 3, 2, 4. Start of the start. I'm not going to fill it up yet because it's a good reminder to say that I have a flight plan discontinuity to negotiate with the flight traffic controllers, and I have finished with my flight plan. So we have done the from 2 alternate flight number cost index Bruce Floyd ground Iris and net flight plan complete, which are required. Flight plan 1 check. So this means that I go here, on my EFIS I switch to plan and I scroll through all my points to see if I have a discontinuity or something that doesn't look right. This looks right and flight plan checked. Now the FTQ allows you to have 2 flight plans, one active, one secondary. So here is my flight plan. I go to secondary and I copy the active to have a backup. And radio navigation, here is how we tune our navs, APFs and localizers. Airbus has an auto tune feature, so already by our proximity to Denver has tuned to the Denver VOR, so we're happy with that. And now we need to go to initialization page B and we need to load our plane. So a bit of logistics, and while I'm doing that, if you have any questions, please do ask me.
I have a question. Are you flying Airbus in real life as well?
No, I should have said that. Okay, disclaimer. I am not a real pilot. I'm not, I'm not an ATPL pilot, hence I don't even have a type rating about that. Amateur pilot, passionate flight sim.
Okay, just you seem to know a lot about it, so could be.
That's because he's a geek.
Oh, one of those.
Right.
All in a good sense.
Yeah, I mean, one of us.
Yes.
So we load the aircraft. Yes, I don't want to wait. Instant. And yes, we are within our performance envelope. I'm not going to go into deeper into the specifics of this. So now what we take though out of this is that we know that our zero fuel weight is 57,029, rounded down is 57 and 29.2. So 7 plus 29.2. So this is our weight.
Wasn't it the maximum Central gravity point that you copied?
No. The maximum, it doesn't say the maximum. This is the zero fuel weight, and this is the center of gravity,
Okay.
or else Mach. Okay. And this is the gross, and the gross Mach.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. So we enter it here, then we go to confirm our fuel. Now in this particular, you can press fuel planning, and it can do some preliminary planning based on the distance, the winds that we have loaded already, and say what it thinks that we need to load. It thinks we should have loaded 6.1. What we have loaded 6.1. So it is exactly with the what we need for reserves, alternate, and we have 0 extra time. So as a captain, I might say give me another 30 minutes and I load 30 minutes of fuel, but I will keep it like that for now. I just confirm that yes, it is 6.1, and I go to my MC and I confirm 6.1, and we are ready. And now we go to performance takeoff, and we need to fill out this number here. So how do we calculate V1, VR, and V2? There are laptops and tablets with complicated calculation about this. Here it is also simulated, so we go here and we say that we are going to take off. We need which runway we're going to take off, so it is the 17 right. Check again. Yes, 17 right, because you need the distance, so the calculation needs to know, okay, how fast do I need to lift off, how heavy I am, so what is the optimal speed that I need to rotate, and what is the flaps that I'm going to use. Now, do I have a preference on flaps? No. Do not force TOGA. I'm not going to use anti-ice. I'm going to have the air conditioning on. Put the numbers from the gross weights, get me the meter, and do the calculation. So 126, 135, 135, 126, 135, 135. It recommends that we use flaps 2, and the trim should be upwards 0.2 degrees negligible, and we're going to use flex takeoff temperature 52. Let me enter the numbers and I will explain. So flaps 2 and up 0.2, and flex temperature it was 52. So what is the flex temperature? It's what the Boeing calls the derated thrust limit. So if you don't need the full power that you can get on TOGA, with this number you say to your engines, behave as if you were on ambient temperature 52 degrees. When the temperature goes up, the maximum thrust goes down because you have less oxygen, and also you don't want to overheat your engines. So that is an indirect way to set your maximum thrust limit. And we don't want to do any too swift. This field is if we want to take off from an intersection, we're going to use the full runway. We go to performance next phase, we check the climb, so we're going to climb managed 250 at the first stage. We're going to cruise and we're going to use going to the cruise mode in this minutes. Descent, we're going to descend on managed 0.79 or 3 to 5 knots, and approach we don't touch it yet because that's going to be how we're going to approach. Barometric, so we know that it is 324, and we cross check the 324 first officer and on our standby. ND mode as required, so I have it on arc, and the range I have it on 20. Flight director, it is on. Landing system guidance, we don't need it. We're not going to make not going to use the ILS to take off. Speed Mach, it is dust. Head tracking, so the autopilot has two modes on direction, either head and vertical, heading and vertical speed, or track and degrees of pitch up or pitch down. So we need to operate heading and vertical speed. Outer set, this is our altimeter, so 36 or whatever we have cleared for. Crew oxygen supply on. We go to the overhead, the crew oxygen supply is on, and we go to our income and we check that we have oxygen and DPFD brightness. We're happy with the brightness. Airfield data confirmed. We have taken the clearance. We have confirmed IRS is aligned. Flight plan. We have confirmed the constraints. So we go to EFIS. This panel is called EFIS, and we say show us the constraints. So now it will tell me if any of the points it will be ampere if I have to cross on specific speed or on a specific altitude. I don't have any constraints with this departure. And ATC code, we have confirmed it. Fuel quantity, it is there. And takeoff briefing. So before I go to pushback and startup, any question? So we have taken the clearance to pushback and startup. So just to get some awareness. Okay, so I'm going to push back, take to the right, and then take forward. So we'll go through the simulation, we'll push back. Ground services. So I have disconnected external power, correct? And I say disconnect shocks, ground power unit. Connect the tap and start, and brakes off, and we are off. Somewhere around here, there should there. If you notice here in the memo, nose wheel steering is connected. So somewhere around here we should stop. I'm not going to theoretically I'm not going to disconnect from the tag. I need to use it for keeping me there. And now it's time for starting the engines. So engine mode, ignition start, starting engine 2. And this is the point where why do we start engine 2 first? I'm going to explain it while we are on the air. If you also noticed from the sound, the packs have automatically turned off because we want to use, the plane wants to use the full bleeding air to turn the turbines, so it cannot spare anything to pressurize or for the air conditioning. The moment the engines are going to start, the packs are going to get on activate again. So we monitor here, we see that N2 is up, EGT is rising, and N1 is around the idle value, anything between 18 and 20%. So we have the indication of available, that means that engine 2 has started. We start engine 1. We monitor first that N2 is rising, then around 16 we're going to have the EGT starting to rise. Sorry, on N250 we're going to have the EGT starting to rise, and then we are going to have Mi1 start rising, and we wait for stabilization. Vertical power indication is on, so engine mode normal. Go to the overhead and APU bleed off. We don't need any anti-ice, and we turn off the APU. Beacon on, and now we start preparing for our takeoff. Now we're going to take off from 17 right, and as we can see from here, the performance base, and here we take the flight plan. Our V1 is 126. That means that anything happens up to 126, we have immediate abort of takeoff and full braking force to stop the plane on the runway. After 126, we are committed to take off. And between V1 and V2, pilot flying continues to fly. Pilot not flying secures the engine. Continue climbing until acceleration height, and after acceleration height we declare any kind of emergency. Until acceleration height, effectively nothing happens apart from raising the gear. All the warnings are inhibited, and we're targeting of getting the plane to the acceleration height. The acceleration height in this particular case is 69,000 feet. So ground spoiler arm. Go here and we say ground spoiler arm. Radio trim to 0. We check that the trim for the rudder is on 0. Flaps set, we remember that it is flaps 2. Pitch trim set, we remember that this was down 0, and ECAM status, everything is green, and we don't have any amber or red. Clear to disconnect, so now that's where we lose the tag, and after that check is complete, and we are ready for our taxi. We have got our clearance lights, and we go nose light on taxi, runway turn on, and now we have parking brake off, and we are ready to taxi. We give it around 35%, just to get unstuck, and 10 knots we can throw it back to idle. We have enough inertia to continue on its own. So now what at the start of my taxi, I didn't press the elapsed. So here this is the elapsed button in order to start counting the clock's time. I didn't do that because I have connected to ACARS, and automatically this is monitored. What I'm going to do now is my test brakes working, and we'll go to the control. We see check the ailerons, check the elevators, check rudder. Everything seems to work. Continue. So ATC clearance is confirmed, and flight plan is confirmed. The SIDs, flaps you see on the ACAM is flaps 2, V1 VRP2 is checked, and FCQ altitude we have set it. Flight director is on. Flight management announcement right now is empty. Flight instrument seems to okay. We read ground speed, we read heading. Territory on ND we light it on. So here we're going to turn. Brake maximum, that is to help us on a rejected takeoff. Cabin check is already checked. Effectively we press this button and we say to the purser that we're ready to take off to handle the passengers. Here we have the takeoff config. We have to turn on the predictive wind shear, so we go and we turn it on, radar on, and CCS on, and also swap mode Charlie on, and TCAS standby. We go and set to the above. Cruising, we have it on the all, and when we're going to descend, we're going to switch it to below. This is where the radar phones should look for towards. We have confirmed, so strobe on, packs, they are on, external lights set, landing lights, and takeoff nose. Runway confirmed. This is the 17 right, you see here, and engine mode as required. For example, we might put it in continuous ignition if we have mixture, moisture or icing. Cabin advice, we have done that. Brake temperature, we see it's all green, and we're ready to line up. Now, unfortunately, because I'm going to fly, I don't have the luxury to actually read the checklist. I don't have a first officer helping me on that, so I will do it by memory. You could follow the checklist from the one that has been shared to the chat. So let's take off. Aero confirmed 10,000, retract landed lights. We don't need any new lights. So we accelerate now to cruise speed and to start doing our round of checks. So round of check, we go check the main view here. It's a summary. We see that the cabin altitude has remained stable from our takeoff because now the computer understands that we need to pressurize and pressurize aggressively. We don't want to go too high on that. We move to monotone pressurization. This is the feet per minute that the cabin is climbing, and the differential pressure between inside and outside looks normal. Engines looks normal. Fuel, we see that we are balanced, and we see the transits normal. Electrical, everything works, and light control, nothing yellow. Condition looks okay, and we go to our FPC progress. We see that the optimum and the selected altitude is agreed. We are in a high accuracy navigation, so it means that we don't have any problem with our ADIRS or other navigation. We are within 1 mile of error, although our estimated is that right now we are 0.03 possible accuracy error. So then back to flight plan, and we wait for climbing to 18,000 feet. At this point it will be good if we cross-check and look and copy again the active to the secondary. And
flaps retracted? Are those flaps retracted?
yes, can you see the indication?
I can't see very well. It's very like dark. Sometimes the quality of the stream is not that great from time to time. Okay. Thanks.
I just want to say thank you for the demonstration. I have to go and start dinner now.
No, the thing is that now is where the pilots relax, they go for coffee and chit chat with the rest of the crew. And every major of the waypoint or every 30 minutes we just do a check on your instruments that the fuel consumption is what is expected, the pressure is okay, etc, etc. So I don't have a lot of work to do anymore. We can discuss anything you want, any question, anything that crosses your mind. You want to know to learn more.
That's a perfect timing for me to go and make dinner then. But thank you for the demonstration for the stream.
Now, one thing that is very specific about the Airbus generally, the family, is the flight aware system. And what that means? That means that what we put on the side stick is not what goes into the actual flight controls. And that is what first scared the pilots, and that's why the name is not the Airbus but the Scarebus. So the joystick gives an electrical signal. The electrical signal goes to the computer. The computer decides how much electrical signal to send to the actuator, and the actuator actually put the pressure into the flight control. Why is that? For protection, in order to not exceed any limits. There are effectively 3 different modes that the plane operates. It's the normal laws, where all the automations are available, and that means that my joystick doesn't command exactly how much the flight control is going to turn, but it just gives how much the load factor is. I mean, how fast I want to pitch up, how fast I want to turn. The moment I reach the pitch or the bank that I want, I just put the joystick back. That means that and that's stop. And the plane keeps that attitude. Whatever keeps turning the joystick. Effectively, it's the same. It is the same way as what they in Boeing they say that I don't know, CWS, something like that, where the autopilot keeps the attitude that you select with the joystick. The protections offered is that low speed protection or low energy protection. It's but it doesn't allow you to stall. The moment you go into stall, it sends the code to stall, it will put the nose down and automatically toggle power. High speed protection, bank protection. When you try to bank more than 33 degrees, the autopilot fights you back. It doesn't allow you to go too much. You have to fight it to go up to 50 degrees, 60 degrees. At 60 degrees it stops you. It doesn't allow you to bank more than 60 degrees. It doesn't allow you to pitch up more than 25, and it doesn't allow you to pitch down more than 12.5. So that's why if we look here, these 2 green lines is our limit. We're not allowed to go more than that, and we're not allowed to go more than that, and this is the bank limit here and here, the left and the right of the horizon.
Spiros, how did you learn all of this?
By reading, watching, and flying a lot. It's look, it's just how you want to address flight simming. If you want to. And I don't blame anybody about the way that they address the flight simming. Everybody address the flight simming to the level that gives fun to him. So somebody takes on the plane and just takes off, flies with autopilot and turns back and is happy with that. Fine. Some other people wants to simulate, get closer to reality even more and even more and even more. So the more you want to simulate close to reality, the more knowledge you have to acquire. So that is the motivation.
What source of information did you use to learn about it?
Okay. The first source of information is the flight crew operation manual from Airbus. It's a book of 3,700 pages. So it's effectively the manual of the plane. There is another book from Airbus that is called Flight Crew Training Manual. So this is how you train yourself into the type rating. And then a lot of practice, a lot of googling, and a lot of watching videos from real pilots. Now let's see the weather on our destination. So we have 368 knots. So I'm going to go for the 086. So we might go for the ILS 08. And we are going to use the 304. So maybe each time to start program our set. So we're just going at the top of our climb. Here you see the ETP, that is the equal time point. So when we reach here, we are going to be in the middle of the route. Equal time both sides. And so let's start programming. And we say here, and we're going to go arrival on ILS 8, and we're going to use more. You know what? Maybe let's make it interesting. up previously is that I said about the normal ones. Now, in order for the computer to decide what exactly to put and how to translate our input to output, it needs all the possible inputs that we can get. So IRS, sensors, angle of attack sensors, pidot, etc., etc. The moment that it loses some of it to the point that even the redundant backup systems are not confirming enough. So, for example, if we lose 2 of the 3 adheres, we still know where we are going, but it doesn't feel confident. At that point, we turn into alternate loss. In the alternate loss, we don't have all the protections on the computer. We only have the anti-stall or low energy out-of-floor, and we only have the maximum speed protection. But effectively, at that point, the plane can behave more like the way that a general aviation plane behaves, or the way that the Boeing pilots wants a plane to behave. The more you put back your stick, the more the elevator turns, and things like that. It becomes more natural to the plain old way of flying. For emergencies where you lose everything, when I say everything, you don't have everything critical, so either you lose all your radios, or you lose all your hydraulics, or you lose all your engines, the plane goes into what's called direct lock. The direct lock, you don't have any hydraulics, you don't have any actuators, you have control of the pitch by using the trim, and the rudder by using this trim, and this is mechanically connected to the control plane. There is no computer between them, and that is the direct lock. And the rudder can be controlled, of course, with the rudder pedals and the trim.
There is no mode that will let you have a roll control of the aircraft with your side stick.
The side stick is to give your intention. I want to go there.
I know, but it cannot switch to the actual flight stick.
It can. For example, when pilots go into type rating, they deliberately switch off 2 adheres. That is the easiest way to do it. The auto throttle gets disconnected, the autopilot gets disconnected, and you are hand flying the whole plane, and it behaves beautifully directly to your input.
Okay.
Alternate lock. So what you're looking for is the alternate lock is what happens at the Boeing naturally.
Okay. So there are basically four laws.
There are
normal, alpha, alternate. Correct?
No, there are three laws: normal, alternate, and direct. And there are also a few modes of this. So, for example, when you are on the ground, when I was taking off, the joystick was controlling the surfaces directly, so I had full control, the same way as a GA plane. So when I pulled in order to roll, I had to pull a lot. The plane took off, and I had to keep that pitch until 50 feet above ground. At 50 feet above ground, the computer starts takeoff and starts trimming the plane to help me. And as it trims the plane, I relieve the joystick, and them as a load commander, meaning that I say go up and it goes up and beside the trim itself. But up to
Okay.
50 feet, it's completely direct. Reverse, when I come to land, the same normal laws apply up to the point where the actuator says flare. That is around 80 to 50 feet above ground level. At that point, the joystick becomes a direct control. So, if you try to flare before that, you will balloon. You need to allow it to go to 50, and because that's where the joystick gets grip, and that's where you flare and have the full sense of how you should flare and touch down. The plane also has the possibility to actually flare itself, and in category 3 setup, it can also brake, roll out and brake itself, so not just landing. It can put it
Okay.
into a full stop.
Okay, thank you.
So now we see here on the ND that we still have a lot of way. Okay, so the white arrow here is the one that gives us which is the top of descent. So we check our flight plan, and we see that the top of descent is after 60 miles after S-span. How much we are going to descend? According to the star, is we should be 50,000 feet on freefall. So I will initially target that number. Before we start our descent, we are going to put some data into the performance. So right now we're cruising. This is how we plan to descend with either 0.79 Mach or 325 knots. And we need to put some data so that we can decide what are going to be our landing parameters. Now, in our destination, the barometrics is 3042, so equals and then 3042. Temperature 5.6, 7.6, and wind is 368 knots. So 360, so that's 8. Transitional with flight level 180, and if I look at the plate of the aircraft Zulu level is my decision altitude is 5,728. 5,728. Now we have the option to either use a cockpit 3 landing, so it means flaps 3, or full flaps landing. If I change to that, we have a different V approach and V landing. So V approach is the speed that the plane is going to maintain until the flare, and 130 is the speed that we should have at touchdown. These three speeds is very important because it gives us the schedule of how we're going to deploy our flaps. So the moment we are going to, as long as we are above the 224, we are fine. When we get closer to the 186, the 186 is the minimum speed before we deploy the first notch of flaps. Ideally we should start before that, but that is the minimum. And F speed is the speed where we need to put full flaps. So I'm checking my flight plan for any discontinuity. No, after free for Albuquerque, Rondo, and Oxford, Fabex, Seneca, Leader, and London. So let's start preparing for our descent. So descent checklist, landing elevation, and see that in our recap the landing elevation is 5,300. Weather, yes. Landing performance, we have confirmed. Arrival completed. Flight plan, we have put the start. Descent winds, to enter. Performance cruise page, we can check. Performance descent page, we can check. Performance across page completed. Go around page, this is the go around page. That is something that we need to include in our approach briefing, because in case of go around we need to remember that we need to act the full flaps at 148. This is our acceleration height, and this is the maximum flaps speed, and this is our clear speed. So after that we are free to we are safe to clear the plane with flaps and gear. Gear should be raised much safer than this, of course. Now, go around page check, radio navigation page. We don't have any concern with that because we're not doing any ILS on rows. Flight plan copy, yes. So we go to secondary and we copy the active. And GPWS flap, we leave it as is because we're going full flap. Approach briefing, done it. Auto brakes. So auto brakes, we're going to use the medium because it's going to be very tricky. We might balloon a little or flow, so it's better to have a firm. So we're going to get at some point our descent clearance, and we are on that point. Thomas, in order to demonstrate what I said before, I'm going to disconnect the autopilot now. Okay. Yeah, okay, warning. Alright, so the plane is stable. I'm going to bank. Now I put joystick because I'm changing the bank. I leave it and the bank stays there. So now no input and the bank is stable. I correct it. So back on the other side.
Or did you stay this?
I leave it and stays there. Now, pitch down. I have a forward stick. It pitches down. I stop the joystick. It stays there. Now, pitch up. altitude. I stop putting any input, it stays there. Now look at the following. I'm going to bank more than 33 degrees. Now if I leave it, it will return. You see, it corrects itself.
Yeah.
It doesn't allow me to overbank. Okay, I think we have made our passengers sick enough.
What is that warning? Altitude warning?
The warning is altitude.
Yeah.
The warning is just a warning that I'm off the managed course and speed. So I said, okay, fine, autopilot, correct yourself.
Alright. I will need to leave in about 20 minutes
Okay.
because I have a student on check ride in 30 minutes.
Yeah, no problem. I thought it was 19 Zulu.
Yeah, 1930 as well.
1930.
Yep. Yeah, you took a little bit more time on the ground, so
Yes,
Yeah.
I thought it would be. I overheat a little bit. So
Yeah.
1920 is our estimated landing.
okay.
So you
That
won't
should
lose
be
it.
just.
Just in time.
Then. And what was the
actually-
landing?
And actually,
What was the approach?
AirNav Zulu. So we're going to do the difficult one. So let's hurry a little bit. Mach decimal 81.
Well, you will shorten it like by 1 minute, maybe.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it was funny. I was flying yesterday and I was doing Mach 0.79er, and the ATC told me for separation purposes to maintain 0.80 or higher. So I just put 80 in it. It accelerated by like 6 knots. That was it.
Yeah, the note at this altitude, the notes are not indicative of how fast you go.
I know.
It's really significant difference. So you might the ground speed is quite different.
I know, but the ground speed I believe increased like by maybe 6 or 8 knots when going
Okay.
one person.
So
This it's not 10, it's
right now
100.
I'm on 400 knots. Sorry, you should check the true airspeed. 469. Okay. So if
Yeah.
I go to the manage, which was decimal 79. So it's around 50 knots difference.
Almost 20. Yeah, so 10 knot per 100
Yes.
of
Okay, we are going to descent, so 50,000 feet.
and you said RNF 26. Was it RNF Zulu or RNF Yankee?
Arnav Zulu.
Zulu. 26.
Yes.
Yeah, it has those arcs. Oh, this looks nice. What is the transition point? Is it tackle?
It's the intermediate fix is Rondon, and the final
Rondon,
is
okay.
I think it's Fox.
Okay, I thought you were gonna go from tackle, the one to the east.
No, because
Alright.
because I'm coming from the north. So I will continue to Rondon and then turn left, doing like a pattern.
Yeah. You know, there is this one all the way to the right that looks interesting because you do like an S-turn towards the
Yes,
runway.
if you come from the east, it is even
Yeah.
more difficult because effectively you dive and you turn.
Well, it's gonna be flown by the autopilot, right?
Yeah. And especially when you start having ground proximity warning system shouting at you. So we didn't gain any time. Nevertheless. Let's go and do a trick. We're going to descend point 81. Yeah. We'll accelerate.
Okay, I'll be back in like 5 minutes,
Sure.
maybe sooner.
So now that we are descending, we are checking our pressurization. We see that the cabin altitude is
I see that you are snapping to various views.
Yeah.
Do you have keys set to do that?
Yes. First of all, the plane has its own predefined views. You access them by control and the number. So control 1, control 2. So this is control 1, this is control 2, control 3, etc. And then I have put some of my own preference. So after you move the camera to a view that you want to keep, you press Control Alt and the number, and that saves that view. That custom view, you can recall it by pressing Alt and the number. So this is Alt forward, because I like this view as a custom view because I have all the information in front of me. So 80,000 feet, we change our barrels to 3040. So we push 3042. So there is the airport. We're going to do a all around a left there.
And I'm back. So do you see the airport at the left already?
There it is.
Uh-huh. What is RF required on the approach plate?
The approach checklist.
RF.
On the checklist.
No, on the approach plate. There is a RNP arrival approach, RF required. If it's like radio something. I don't know. I'm looking at the FAA chart. I don't know if you have that one
Me
over.
too.
Okay, so all the way on the up, just below the approach course. In this pilot briefing section, or however it is called.
RF
Yes.
Yeah, so that. RFP, required. I'm not sure. Okay, so we're close to the approach. So, landing lights on. It's not on the checklist, but I don't want to forget it, so I usually type up this also. And we went into approach phase, so we can see here that we are on approach phase, and time to laps 1 of the green approach, gear down. It's going to be very tight.
Yeah, I saw the more drag required message.
Laps.
And you need to be slow enough for the final turn, I guess. Are you already in approach mode?
Yes, because I have a lot of deviation on high, and that is a bad thing, but it's also a good thing because I'm not so close to the terrain and I'm not getting any GPS. I'm happy because you see here the arrow shows that I'm going to catch the glide path before the turn, so I'm fine with that. And so we have full flaps, ground spoilers armed, and
2,500.
Terrain ahead.
Terrain ahead. Pull up.
I wonder what is the legal action to do if you hear pull up. Do you need to do that? Especially if you are in IMC.
it's a warning. The thing is that that's why I chose this particular one.
I know, but
Because
if you already hear pull up, doesn't mean that maybe if you are in IMC that you really need to pull up.
In this particular airport, there is a briefing that you need to judge whether to actually pull up.
Okay.
So this nav is not available.
1,000.
This nav is not available when there is bad weather.
Ah, alright.
In bad weather, they do the ILS and serve to that. So this is the final lap. I got
It needs.
Yeah, I got
Okay.
the
I'll shut up.
scope.
500.
Okay.
100 above.
Check.
Minimum.
Continue. Disconnect. Back controls.
100. 40. 30. 20. Retard. 5.
Alright, so thank you very much. I need to go now.
Alright. See you
So
later.
I learned a few things, so that's good. See you later.
Alright, see you later.
Thank you very much, Spiros. This was fascinating.
Yeah. Let me park it.